When most people get to Genesis 10, they see this long, kind of boring list of names and their eyes just glaze over. But what if I told you it's not a list at all? What if it's actually a map? A living, breathing map that shows exactly how our world got started, all branching out from a single family. Okay, let's jump right in and see for ourselves.
So picture this. The whole world is quiet. It's been washed completely clean. No cities, no countries, no borders, nothing. There's just one family, standing on this damp earth under a huge, empty sky with the incredible task of refilling the entire planet. I mean, the scale of that new beginning is just mind-boggling to think about.
So that's the big question, right? How in the world do you get from Noah and his three sons to the incredible, complex tapestry of empires and cultures and languages that make up all of human history? Well, this ancient chapter holds the key. It's the original blueprint.
So here's our game plan. We're going to trace this blueprint by following the three main branches of Noah's family. We'll kick things off with that new beginning, then we'll follow the lines of Japheth, Ham, and Shem as they literally spread across the map and create the world that we know. All right, let's get into it. Our map is totally blank right now, just waiting for those first names to be written on it, and it all starts right here, with Noah's three sons.
Verse 1 gives us our starting point. It says, "Now this is the genealogy of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And sons were born to them after the flood." So just picture a single massive tree trunk. That's Noah. And sprouting from it are three huge, powerful branches, each one reaching out in a different direction. These are the three sons who are going to father every single nation on earth.
Our first branch is going to take us north and west. This is Japheth's family. And as we trace their line, I want you to imagine a wave of, say, a blue-teal color, just spreading across the map, heading right for the coastlands and the Great Sea.
Okay, so verse 2 introduces Japheth's 7 sons, names like Gomer and Javan. Just picture 7 adventurous brothers standing on a cliff looking out over the Mediterranean, feeling that pull of the horizon. These guys are the ancestors of a lot of the peoples of Europe and Asia Minor. Then, verses 3 and 4, they zoom in on the grandsons, the next wave of explorers. Imagine them as the ones who actually build the ships, who hoist the sails and head out for these distant shores, like Tarshish, what we're pretty sure is modern-day Spain. The journey has officially begun.
And verse 5 gives us the incredible conclusion for this family line. Imagine a time lapse, right? You see their ships landing on dozens of empty coastlines and islands. Little settlements just start popping up. And over generations, each one develops its own unique language, its own culture. This is the birth of the seafaring nations.
Now, let's shift gears and move to the second branch. We're heading south now, into the sun-baked lands of Africa and the Near East. This is the family of Ham, and they are the founders of the world's first great cities and empires. So for this, picture a warm golden-orange color just expanding across the southern part of our map.
Verse 6 introduces Ham's 4 sons, and man, these are heavy hitters, each one a pillar of the ancient southern world. You can just see them carving out their territories: Cush, the ancestor of Ethiopia; Mizraim, the father of Egypt; Put, which is ancient Libya; and Canaan, who settles that crucial land bridge that will one day become the Promised Land. Then verse 7 follows the line of Cush as his sons branch out across Arabia and Africa. Imagine the very first caravan routes being established, linking all these new regions together.
Then we get to verses 8 and 9, and suddenly the pattern just breaks. We meet this guy Nimrod, and he's not just another name on the list. He's like an action hero. Verse 8 says he began to be a mighty one on the earth. Then verse 9 adds to his legend, calling him a mighty hunter before the Lord. You can just picture this charismatic leader, a guy who could unite people under one big vision. He's the world's first empire builder.
And what a vision it was. Verse 10 tells us the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. Imagine Nimrod just pointing at a spot on the map and boom, the icon for a great city. A huge ziggurat just appears. Then verses 11 and 12 show his ambition. He's not satisfied. You can see a line extending north from Babel as he marches into Assyria, a future world power, and builds another massive city, Nineveh. He is literally stamping civilization onto this blank map.
After Nimrod, the map just keeps filling up. Verses 13 and 14 trace the line of Mizraim, or Egypt, and they make a special note. From his descendants came the Philistines. Picture these fierce warriors just appearing on the coast, a people who are going to play a huge role in Israel's future. Then from verses 15 all the way through 18, we get this whole laundry list of the descendants of Canaan, the famous Ite tribes like the Jebusites and the Amorites. You can see the land of Canaan being filled with all these distinct groups. Finally, verse 19 acts like a surveyor, drawing the exact borders of their territory on our map, from Sidon in the north all the way down to Gaza.
And verse 20 kind of wraps it all up for us. You pull the camera back and you see the result. The southern part of the known world is now teeming with life, a complex network of cities, kingdoms, and peoples, and they all came from Ham.
All right, finally, let's trace the third and final branch, the family of Shem. We're moving to the heartland, the Fertile Crescent, the territory that's going to give rise to the Semitic peoples. For this part of the map, imagine it filling in with earthy tones, like greens and browns.
So verse 21 gets us started with Shem, but it gives us this really important clue right at the beginning. It calls him the father of all the children of Eber. That's the text telling us, hey, pay close attention to this line. Verse 22 then lists Shem's 5 sons, names that become mighty nations like Elam or Persia and Ashur or Assyria. Then verses 23 and 24 keep tracing the family tree right down to that key figure we were told to watch for, Eber. The name Hebrew actually comes from his name. Just picture that family tree growing, with the line from Shem to Eber glowing a little brighter than the others.
Now, in verse 25, we hit this really fascinating, almost mysterious historical marker. Eber has a son named Peleg, and his name literally means division. And why is that? Because the text tells us in his days the earth was divided. Whoa, that is a huge cryptic statement.
So what on earth does this division mean? Well, there are a couple of really cool possibilities here. One is a physical division. Some people think this could be a memory of the continent splitting and drifting apart. The other possibility is a political or linguistic division, a direct foreshadowing of the story of the Tower of Babel in the very next chapter, where humanity gets scattered by the confusion of languages. Either way, Peleg's life marks a massive turning point in history.
The story keeps rolling through Peleg's brother Joktan. Verses 26 through 29 give us this long list of his 13 sons, names like Sheba and Ophir, places famous for their incredible wealth. You can imagine these men as the founding fathers of all the various clans of Arabia. And finally, verse 30 tells us exactly where they settled, drawing their territory onto our map in the mountainous region of the east.
And just like with the other families, verse 31 wraps up this whole section. This third great branch of humanity has now filled in its part of the map, creating its own unique family of tribes, languages, and territories. It's complete. Okay, so we've followed all 3 branches. We've watched them spread out and diversify. It's time to pull the camera all the way back and look at the finished map.
Verse 32 gives us the grand finale, the big summary. These were the families of the sons of Noah, and from these, the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. From just those 3 sons, tradition holds that 70 foundational nations were born. Picture those 3 main branches splitting and splitting and splitting again, until they formed this amazing forest of 70 distinct trees.
And that's the final picture, isn't it? Our map, it's not blank anymore. It's completely covered in the blue of Japheth's coastlands, the gold of Ham's empires, and the green of Shem's heartlands. It shows a world of incredible diversity that all springs from a single, unified source.
So we're left with this really powerful idea. This ancient document, far from being just some dry list, is making a radical statement about humanity. It's presenting all peoples, no matter how different we seem, as cousins in one vast extended family. What changes when we see the world not as a collection of strangers, but as a family reunion? Pretty amazing thing to think about.